Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to remind you, iTrustCapital private equity should be on the Link2 platform, who is one of my sponsors. 8 Pacific time, sounds right. Okay, check this out. This is a tweet that I just happened to notice that was from a little while back, where Elon Musk said Twitter found secret code that shadow banned accounts and prevented them from trending. Just wanted to mention, I thought this was going on when we were uncovering ETHgate a while back. So I believe there was a secret code, and I think that it's not just Twitter. I think that there's all kinds of shadiness going on in social media to try to censor the truth, ultimately. I think that's pretty proven now. Now, this was a response that Elon Musk did to this tweet about companies that changed their name, and Twitter's in there as X. And it says, he replies and he says, Twitter was acquired by X Corp both to ensure freedom of speech as an accelerant for X, the Everything app. This is not simply a company renaming itself, but doing the same thing. The Twitter name made sense when it was just 140 character messages going back and forth like birds tweeting. But now you can post almost anything, including several hours of video. In the months to come, we will add comprehensive communications and the ability to conduct your entire financial world. The Twitter name does not make sense in that context, so we must bid adieu to the bird. Well, I'm hoping that if Elon Musk will provide FDIC insurance to your money, then it is game over. I would love to put everything on Twitter and be done with all this. Now, about that Everything app that he's talking about, I put this together a little while back. This is him talking about how he wants to create an Everything app. But I also added Greg Kidd from back in the day. I think it was from back in like 2013 to 15, somewhere in there. Greg Kidd seemed to have all this together in his mind back then. And remember, I have this little theory I'm working on. And I'm not saying it's true, but what I'm getting. So here you have Elon Musk over here, and he's working on Twitter. And you have Jack Dorsey over here, and Jack Dorsey's the same guy that lived in Greg Kidd's backyard, okay, when they founded Twitter. Just happened to be there. Greg Kidd just always happens to show up. Well, so you got Elon Musk working on revamping Twitter into a payment system, into an Everything app. Then over here, you got Jack Dorsey working on Blue Sky, which Blue Sky is to make a decentralized social media. And I'm telling you, just in the back of my mind, knowing what I know, it wouldn't surprise me if somehow these guys merged all that into one. It would make sense to me. We also know that Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey had a problem with what A16Z was calling Web3 and the whole ETHgate thing, because they were joking around with each other, taking shots at A16Z. We remember that. Now watch this.
Well, I think it would be, I'd like to, have this sort of long-term vision for something called X.com from way back in the day, which is kind of like a sort of like an Everything app, where it's just maximally useful. It does, payments, does, so it provides financial services, provides information flow, really anything digital, and also provides secure communications. So really I think be as useful as possible, as entertaining as possible, and also to be like a source of truth.
So I'm betting on the new forms of wallets, new forms of messaging that go with those. So I believe, like in the future, young people and those young people get older. I'm not sure why you won't have like a super app, which is just messaging on steroids. Messaging that's also your wallet, messaging where there's bots and you can buy things you want to do. You don't really have to leave that messaging app. So instead of having like 100 apps on my phone,
this one is music, the other one is words, the other one is money.
So I'm investing in the pieces of that infrastructure. If you think about it, the things you need to get to that world is you need messaging rails, you need identity, because you got to do it compliantly.
Global ID with Greg Kidd.
You need a ledger to keep track of everything.
Ripple.
You need a wallet to get access to the money.
Some, maybe?
Because we still live in a card-based world, you need cards. In other markets, you need QR codes. So anybody who's building those pieces, those are the picks and shovels of the next world that I'm expecting to live in. And so I'm investing in picks and shovels. So with Global ID, you can currently download an app, do basic attestations like prove you control a phone number, prove that the information on your government ID is valid. You can confirm that you control certain social media accounts. You'll soon be able to confirm that you control various bank accounts. All those attestations can be written to your name, your handle, which is globally unique, sits on a global registry. You can think about it as a white pages for everyone to see. Not the private information, but the public attestation that those private details have been verified. And so that's out there now. The next steps for that is to attach to it the messaging rails, the ledger and wallet rails, and the card rails.
I believe there are 2 companies on this planet that are on the verge of announcing all sorts of partnerships that nobody knew about. One of those companies is X.com, and the other is one Ripple. It's coming. Check this out. Anthony Welfare, who works on Ripple CBDCs, he said it's great to be on site with our clients. They've got CBDC swag. And then check this out. This is another clip from, I don't think there's any overlap here from the other one I showed you, but Stuart Alderati in this podcast he was in.
Kelly, you don't look at the asset itself. You look at the way the asset was sold, and you look at the relationship between the seller and the buyer. And in some cases, that relationship may show that you have a contract that has with it other promises. So you're selling not only the token, but you're selling a collection or a bundle of promises. And it's that collection or bundle of promises that make up the investment contract, not the token itself. And that's the piece I think that is really, really important. And that's the piece that I think really exposes the SEC's theory here, which has no foundation in the law, that a digital asset can in and of itself be a digital asset security. It's not like a traditional share of stock.
I think the SEC knows all that. I think they know that I think they're scared to appeal because they know they'll lose.
Where you buy or sell a traditional share of stock, let's just say it's Apple, and whoever owns that Apple share of stock, no matter who they bought it from or how they bought it, that Apple share of stock represents rights of the holder against Apple and obligations of Apple to the holder. That is always a security, and in fact, it's defined under the law as a security, stock being one of the things in that definition of what is a security. The SEC has never alleged in any of these cases, because they can't, that digital tokens are stock, because digital tokens don't represent a right, title, or interest in the company that you may buy the token from. They allege that it's an investment contract, which is another category of securities defined under the law. But to find an investment contract, you need to find a contract for an investment. And in certain instances, that may exist. And in other instances, it may not exist. And that is what makes this decision so important and such an affirmation of what a faithful application of the law should look like, and really exposes the SEC's theory as having no foundation in the law.
Right.
So SEC exposed, that'd be a good thumbnail. But also on the front of this thumbnail, it's going to say SEC fears appeal, because I think they know that they had no faithful allegiance to the law, and they know that this will be nothing but a bigger loss for them. Now let's hear what John Deaton has to say about it.
I'm not convinced the SEC is going to appeal. They probably are, but I tweeted out today that it's the hottest debate going on over there, because you're going to have senior staff that say, look, you can just say XRP itself won, but that means nothing to all the other tokens. XRP is a unique story. XRP, was called a digital virtual currency by the Government Accountability Office in 2014. Your token wasn't. XRP traded for 7.5 years. Your token didn't. XRP this, XRP that. And you distinguish it and say, well, that's just XRP, facts and circumstances, facts and circumstances. How many times have you heard Gary Gensler say that in Congress? And just distinguish it, and you don't run the risk of a appellate court in the Second Circuit affirming this judge. So there's going to be some that say don't appeal and just go after all the other tokens, right? And then you're going to have some that say, listen, this decision is going to impact our case against Coinbase, which is in the same district, the Southern District of New York. And yes, it's true that the judge in the Coinbase case can completely disagree with Judge Torres, but we've already read the transcript, and she's saying things similar to what Judge Torres and Judge Netburn said. So remember that Judge Torres cited a fellow Southern District New York judge, Judge Castell, who had the Telegram case, in her decision. And so I'd be surprised if one of these other fellow judges are going to just flat out have this wholehearted disagreement with Judge Torres. So there's going to be people at the SEC that say we have to appeal this decision because of its impact on the Coinbase litigation and other litigation. I don't know which way they're going to go. If I were there, I would be in the camp of don't appeal it. If I worked at the SEC, and just go with your fact and circumstance and try to distinguish XRP on the facts. But there are others who disagree because of the impact it has on the regulation by enforcement. But know this, if the Second Circuit agrees with Judge Torres, then regulation by enforcement on crypto is dead, because the entire Second Circuit would be governed by that decision. And I can assure you that even judges in other circuits, like the guy in Library in the First Circuit, or in Seattle in the Ninth Circuit, that Second Circuit decision would have not binding precedent, but it would be massively persuasive.
All right. So there's John. And then finally, we've got this from Cowboy Crypto, who is the official cowboy of the Digital Asset Investor channel. News, Ripple sets its sights on UK and Ireland for next expansion of services once the exchange has this Irish license. Ripple wants to passport its services across Europe. From Stuart Alderati. I'm the Digital Asset Investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that Ripple wants to passport across Europe. Thanks for listening.